We found out yesterday that you can completely skip the tower phase. You do not have to do it. But there's a catch, and it's pretty ironic. You can skip the tower phase. However, you have to have good damage. So the ironic part is that shitty players can't skip it, but good players can. Correction, because good player is not, like, high damage is not indicative of a good player. Let me rephrase. Low damage players cannot do this, but high damage players can. So basically what you do, right, is on these first set of orbs, okay, there's going to be a hand, all right? There's going to be a hand here. You can actually get grabbed by the hand if you have your entire party do it, okay? So you have your entire party get grabbed by the hand like we do here, okay? Everybody's in there. The boss continues to do mechanics like normal, like completely. It invalidates the log, so high damage players won't do it. Yeah, right. So like the entire, okay, that's one thing I want to talk about. But first I want to talk about what happens. So we'll get into like why you would never do this. But yeah. So you have your whole party. So everyone is in the dungeon again, right? So everyone is in the jail. So you basically repeat this. Now, we found out that there's no one outside, but the boss is continuing to do all of his mechanics on a script, okay? So what you do is you wait at the top, okay? You wait here. You go at the top and then you don't move. Okay, so you see this timer? You're going to move in when this timer hits 7 seconds. If you move in when the timer hit 8 seconds, you'll die when you go outside. Okay, so right now, while these towers are going on, while we're in the jail, the towers are actually going on outside. Okay, so then you wait, and then you have, 8, 7, go, 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 go. Okay, now watch this. This is very interesting. Look at that. Look at the timing on that. We get an invuln. We had one person leave at 8 seconds and everybody else left at 7 because we weren't sure of the timing. Nar left at 8 seconds instead of 7, so he came out and he actually got hit by the dot. So this dot goes through the invuln. So we came out a second after the dot happened. Okay, so he's going to die instantly here. But the thing is you can completely skip the towers. You don't have to do them technically. You can do this. Now, the thing about this is that it's kind of funny. Okay, so just to show you guys that we cleared this poll. Okay, yeah. Okay, we do all the mechanics. Boss is still, okay. Okay, and it's dead. Okay, we skip the towers and then we clear. Now, there's a couple funny things about this. One, this doesn't help players who don't have high damage, okay? So let's say, for instance, that you're really bad at mechanics, but you're good at doing damage. This would help players, okay? You don't have to do the towers. But the funny thing is that players that are bad at damage, but good at mechanics, you would never want to do this. Just do the towers. Let me ask you guys a question. I haven't done this too much in the Party Finder. How bad are towers in the Party Finder? Because whenever I've done this, I've just picked up people that I knew how to do it. So I've never really Party Findered it. Maybe I should do that today. Okay, they're fine. Easy, XDX, easy, not too bad. All right, well, I guess here's another question, right? Do people in PF do the healer cheese? As crazy as this is going to sound, I actually think knowing how to do the healer cheese is important. And the reason why is because if you have a death or if you have a couple deaths, what is the healer cheese? LB3, yeah, so basically, okay, so right when you get to the tower phase, you just have a healer jump off, and then you have the other healer immediately res them, but that healer doesn't take the res. You wait, and you purposely fail every tower, or you can do some, it doesn't matter, but the end result is that one of the tanks will use their invuln as the towers explode. After the towers explode, the healer gets up and healer LB3s everyone. I think knowing how to do that will save some runs. Yeah, so you guys mentioned that the memory game is actually harder than the towers, and I would agree with that, actually. I think the memory game is harder, but it's not really that bad if you just have someone type it out. Nah, tank LB doesn't work because the dot goes through it and it still ticks you. I guess the whole point of this discussion is that I don't think that this was tested. Oh, this raid plan talks about the cheese. Okay, so let's take a look at this real fast then. Okay, if you can't meet and rage, jump later. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so this, okay. I see in the, oh, no. See, this is bad, actually. Yeah, this is bad. Nah, I don't agree with this. Okay, so this cheese is bad. Do not do this cheese. This cheese is inferior to the other cheese. You do not want to purposely have a healer get grabbed. And let me explain why. The reason why is because it can fuck up the next part. This is a troll raid plan. Well, no, I mean, it might be troll, but what the information in here is, they are suggesting a legitimate strategy. All right, so here is the reason why that putting the healer in the abyss is worse than just having the healer jump off when you get towers. Because the previous mechanic is the in-out with the party stacks and the shit like that, right? Okay, well, if you get unlucky, you can have like 4 people die. So like, let's say that you have a healer dead, or the healer's in the abyss, but it targets 2 healers. And then in that case, now like there's party stacks, and let's say 2 people don't get targeted, but then, or sorry, not party stacks, but buddies. Let's say 2 people don't get targeted, but 2 people do, you know, in like the same group or something. So you can have like 2 or 3 deaths. Okay. So it's better to just do that mechanic and then just have 1 healer die than it is to gamble, in my opinion. Because we did this yesterday, and we actually almost wiped because the party stacks targeted 2 players in the same party, and it killed it killed 1 tank, the other healer, and a DPS. And the only reason we were able to live through it was because that other tank had all of their cooldowns and shit. They actually had to use their invuln when the towers exploded. They barely made it. Okay, so all I'm saying is that if you're going to do the healer cheese, in my opinion, like, you can have a healer get grabbed, you can, but I think it's just safer to like have the healer jump off. Now you could argue that, okay, well, what if you fuck up the previous mechanic, right? Like, what if the healers and shit fuck up the previous mechanic? You know what I mean? Then in that case, it would be safer for the healer to actually go in the jail. There's warrants to both. I just think that there's a higher chance that mechanic is going to kill multiple people if there's a healer in the jail. That's it. But both work, okay? Both work. The whole point of like talking about this and like testing this, right? I don't think that the developers have this in mind. And I actually think that this should be changed. And the reason why is because basically, while right now, currently, this is completely unnecessary, there has been instances like this where cheesing a mechanic has actually been more beneficial than actually doing it right. So a really good example of that is the Nisi crystals in A4. Now, A4 was a horribly designed fight, okay? Horribly designed. But the point is like certain things, like they have made mistakes like that in the past. So there's like A4, and then for those of you that are unaware, in Uwu, you can mit the Ifrit charge on predation. You don't die, you can just mit it, which I think is stupid because it's an ultimate. So I guess what I'm saying is that just the fact that you can do this, I think, is a problem, and it could lead to something else. So, do you guys remember in A12 where the ninja does like all the fucking jails or whatever? That was insane. That actually made you skip mechanics on Alexander. So for those of you that don't know, in A12, there's like portals that you have to go into. Okay, it's similar to the jails here. Well, if you have a really good ninja, the ninja can go in and do like 3 of them on his own. And then the other tank can go in and do the tank one. But basically what I'm saying is that instead of sending in 4 people, you only send in 2, and you have 2 extra DPS on the boss full time. So yeah, normally 1 person has to do each portal. But with this strategy, a ninja could do 3 of them, and a tank just does the 1. And the reason why this is so significant is because 1, they didn't expect that to happen. And 2, because you're able to leave 2 extra DPS on the boss full time, that is a massive, massive DPS increase on the boss, which led to skipping mechanics at the very end of the fight and those mechanics that you skipped were the hardest. So all I'm saying here is that because you can do this, the door is basically open to more similar shit like this. Is skipping the towers in this fight a problem? No. I don't think anybody's going to do this, okay? I really don't think anybody's going to do this. I don't think the towers are too bad. You guys said that the towers weren't that bad in the Party Finder, but I feel like that's not the point. The point is that you can do it, okay? And I feel like that this was a design flaw. And that's the main part of the entire discussion, is that I think that this was a design flaw, and I think that they should think about this kind of stuff more. But anyway, regardless, it is very interesting, okay? So real quick, let's just take a look at it again. I think that they should change this actually so that you're not able to do this. I really think so. I think that if everyone gets grabbed at this particular point, I think that you should just wipe. Well, the thing is, the towers do kill you, but if you're in here, you're not outside when the towers blow up. Yeah, so this entire strategy is just interesting. The ironic part about this is that players with low damage can't do it, but players with high damage can. But the players with high damage, they would never do this in the first place because they can just do the towers, because doing this strategy is a massive DPS loss on the boss. So you would just stay outside and do the towers. What I think should happen is just, if everybody goes in here, it should just die. You should just die. That's what I think. That's what I personally think. But I mean, does it really matter? Probably not really. But anyway, I just wanted to briefly talk about it because I think it's really interesting. And I think it's really interesting you can do this. You would probably never want to do this, though. But like I said, it's not... The point is that you can do it. And I don't think that you should be able to do it, because doing this basically, it opens a door to maybe later down the road they fuck up and they don't calculate for something, or maybe they put a mechanic in an ultimate fight with portals or something that you don't actually have to do. And let's say you send in 4 people, you only have to send in 1. Well, that's not doing the way the mechanic is intended, but it's not really exploiting it if you can do it through sheer skill. Okay. I think it's a design flaw. I think that they didn't test it, or they didn't think about it. This leads me to believe that, they're JP players, so their damage is god-awful anyway, right? So it probably never... Look, hey, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Look, it is what it is. JP damage sucks dick, okay? You don't believe me? Ask Arthur's. He's constantly telling me about it. I don't want to hear shit, okay? But anyway, you can do this. If anyone is interested in doing this, all you do, your whole party gets slapped by the hand, you get dragged in, kill your ad, wait at the top of the exit when you can teleport to the top, but don't move. Wait till it says 7 seconds, run into the light, you get ported out, and, this will happen. Here, I'll pause it on the explosion. Okay, so right here, as you can see, okay, all the explosions are going off. But the thing is the check already happened and we weren't out there. Nar was. So you need to leave at 7, not 8 seconds. I don't think that Party Finder is ever going to do this. And the reason why I don't think Party Finder is ever going to do this is because to do this strategy, you actually have to have high damage, because you're in that jail for like 60 seconds. So that means that for a solid minute, you are dealing 0 damage to the boss. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about this for a minute because I thought it was interesting, and to bring up some previous examples like A12, A4. You also had A11, where if your damage was high, you can completely skip an entire phase, which is probably why they stopped having phase pushes based on damage and it's based on time. Later, when you have like all of this gear, because you can obviously unsync this, so when you have all this gear, more people will be able to do this. And, will it matter then? No, probably not. But another example of being able to do something similar like kind of cheese and stuff and skipping mechanics is T2. It's in Binding Coil of Bahamut, and you basically have one big boss in the center of a maze, okay? And you can go around the maze, and you kill these different mini bosses. And each time you kill one of the mini bosses, it will buff the boss in the middle, So what you can do is the entire zone has an enrage timer, okay? The entire zone has an enrage timer. It's like, I don't know, 15 minutes or 10 minutes or something. Once that internal timer hits, the main boss in the middle will start spamming AoEs over and over and over again. He no longer does mechanics, okay? So what people used to do, instead of actually fighting the boss and dealing with the mechanics, they would bring like three healers, okay? Okay, they'd bring like 3 healers, and all you would do, you would DPS the boss, and the boss wouldn't do anything other than spam AoE damage. So all you did was stand there, DPS the boss, and the healers would just spam heal. That's literally it. And the reason why they did that is because there was a mechanic in there called Allegan Rot, where it's kind of like hot potato. You have the rot, then you got to pass it to somebody else, you know, and then they have it, and you got to pass it to somebody else. It requires coordination, you know, and Final Fantasy players can't even locate their fucking genitalia, okay? So expecting them to play hot potato when they can't even locate their dick is a huge ask, okay? So instead, they're just going to spam one button, okay? Which is really ironic now that I think about it, because back in the day, people loved to spam one button on healer, but now they hate it. Huh. Funny how things have turned. Anyway, that's it. It was fun to try. And that's it.